Continue to go.
Actually, put yourself on mute.
By the way, does everybody have the charts? If anybody wants a chart, what's it called? These guys. It's not geschmack. This camera's not geschmack. This big one, the big one. Yeah, oh, you want one thing? You want a sticker one for the Gemara? When the Gemara comes, this is a sticker, and you just stick it into the Gemara. So I will wait. Don't put it in yet. I have more Gemaras are coming in. But hello, it's blocking everybody's face. It's not geschmack. I can't see anything. Hello. Fine. Always say. I know, by the way, this thing is like in the way. I can't see anybody. Should we rather move that on the floor?
All the way by the end of the table.
Yeah, but like this, I can't see this. I can't see the guys. I'm saying just.
Why do you stand?
Yeah, no, I'm not standing. It's not smart. And then why is it also in the face?
You can't see me? Okay, Scott, this is becoming way too official.
I don't know. Hello, Hashi, you here? Anybody here is over there?
Actually, can you hear?
Yeah, they can hear. They can hear. What? I don't know how to do it.
Thumbs up if you can. Okay, he hears.
Okay, very good. Okay, so bottom line, first of all, great stuff. When everybody posts, it helps the next person, and just it's a great thing. It's number one. Number two, yes, there are a few questions that guys had, and I'm just want to try to clarify a little bit the answers to help out. One of the questions were, what's the shaykhis that the Gemara is starting off with our Mishnah? The Gemara starts off 10 tefachim, 1 tefach. What shaykhis is it? So I tried to put together something very, very basic, and it basically breaks it down. That the Tanna Kama and Reb Shimon both say that sleeping underneath a sukkah, underneath a bed within a sukkah is no good. Rabbi Yehuda says it's okay. The same thing, but is a bed considered an oil? And it's the opposite. Because it's not an oil, it's okay. Because it is an oil, it's not okay. Now, why over here is it different? And is it that, like we're discussing, it's not 10 tefachim or it is 10 tefachim? So in general, and this is a general rule, an oil is 1 tefach. 1 tefach is enough space by tumah for the tumah to get caught up in that space and be there and then travel within that space. So it's very important. That's why the Gemara starts off. What's the first of the Gemara? The Gemara starts off and says, one second. Halak asar. Very good. So it starts off like that. Why does it start off like that? To tell you that in general, an oil is always less than 10. So what's the problem? Why would this be a problem? So the answer is, in this case, when Shmuel says it's 10, that it is 10, it's because, once again, an oil 1 tefach is enough. But here, because it's an oil within another oil, so in order for this oil, which is the bed, to supersede the sukkah, it has to be a good space. What's good space? 10 tefachim. That's why that number comes in. So that's one of the questions. Another question that the Ilm had, I heard a bunch, was, what is the riba? Riba. So in reality, there's 2 psukim. One pasuk, oil riba. Why did it say over there? So one pasuk says oil is by the Mishkan. One pasuk says oil is by Ahalas, by Tumah. So the Rabbanan answer, and they say that when they're saying oil, it's the reason why it doesn't have to be B'dei Adam is because that pasuk said it 3 times. So that's their explainer. We're going to do a little bit of Chazara, and then we're going to start the new thing. So the Chazara starts off V'hal Asara, but there isn't 10. And he answers, okay, Tirgum Shmuel b'mita asara. Shmuel says, no, we're talking about a case, it's a bed, b'mita, it's a bed, and asara. And specifically, it's something that's big enough, and remember, beds in general are not really 10 tefachim high. If you look around, the average bed is not so high, so much space underneath. It's a small amount of space. So they wanted to specify that in this case, we're talking about the taka was, so then it would constitute a good enough space that maybe it's a problem, maybe it is an oil. Now, this next part that it brings in, Tanan Hasam.
A bunk bed could be an official oil.
Oh, that's an oil underneath another oil, yeah.
So you could sleep under a bunk bed?
No, so this is what they're debating is even just the one first. Now, the second one, probably not also. So now, yeah. So it's just like, what about in the house? If you sleep in the house, it's also not good. By the way, it's not. You're supposed to sleep in the sukkah. Now, the next part is, what shaykhis is the Gemara bringing all these cases of the digging out the ditch and all that stuff with one tefach? What shaykhis does it have with anything? So the reason is that right now, once we start Tanan Hasam, we're trying to investigate and understand. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah, what does he say? He says you could sleep underneath the bed, and a bed is not considered an oil. So now we're going to go and look a bunch of places where Rabbi Yehuda says something, or in this case, one separate Mishnah in Ahalim, to see what did Rabbi Yehuda say over there, and how does it reconcile with over here. So the Mishnah over there, all this that says all these cases is just to bring the second to last line of this Gemara, which is Tan Hasam Echad Char Shachru Mayim, whether the water cut through and made a hole, Oy Shratzim or Shratzim, Oy Shachatim Meleches, or a corrosive agent, V'chein Madba Chavanim, V'chein Sashakaris, or a pile of stones or a stack of like wooden beams, Ma'al Al Tuma. And now this is the part that we brought this Mishnah for. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kol Oil She'ena Asa B'dei Adam, Eina Oil. So all these cases of one tefach really don't matter so much, and it's not why we brought it. We brought it specifically for this final point that Rabbi Yehuda says any oil not made by man is not considered an oil. That's why we brought that Mishnah in Oihalis. Very simple, just for that second to last line. That's it. Now that we have this point, okay, my time. Now, what's his reasoning? Why? Where does he get this? What's his makar that this is that it's not an oil? My time with Rabbi Yehuda. What's his reasoning? Yalef oil mi mishkan. So he learns it from Gzeir Shava. Oil, like we said before. It says by Mishkan that Moshe Rabbeinu put the oil on top, and we have over here, by us we have a pasuk with Nahalos that says many times oil, but it says oil. So we want to say just like over there by the Mishkan, Moshe Rabbeinu, a person, put it on top. So too over here by us, this Mishnah in Nahalos, Tumah needs to be man-made. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Again, not our Mishnah, the Mishnah in Nahalos. So the Gemara basically shifted to a different area or a different arena, and now we're discussing that. Ksiv hachazoi satayra adam kiamas ba'ayel uksiv hasam vayifresh esa oil ala mishkan. Now, mala halam bidei adam afkan bidei adam. Just like over there was man-made, Moshe Rabbeinu did it. So too over here. So now the Mishnah in Nahalos, what did the Rabbanan say? They gave all these cases, the water, the shratzim, the beams, everything. They said those are all good. So the Rabbanan, like, what do they do? How do they learn it out? Where do they get this that one's enough? So they say oil riba, because in the pasuk by Tumah, by Oihalis, where does Oihalis get it from? It gets it from a specific pasuk. In that pasuk, it clearly states 3 times oil. So they say it says it many times. So we learn this out. We don't really learn the Gzeir Shava like Rabbi Yehuda does. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't learn this, and each are entitled to their own shita and opinion, and that's how it ends off. I know Arya asked Aaron Ringlass yesterday. Okay, but usually the way the Gemara's work is, they switch it around. They say, okay, now you learned it from Gzeir Shava. Okay, so what do we do with that? They don't discuss it further. But good question. I don't know why they don't get into it, but that's where it stops over here. Now it's going to come in and it's going to jump into a question. Rabbi Yehuda, is this really true that what you're saying that he holds that something that oil is not made by man is no good? We're going to show a case where it should be good. And what's that case? So just a brief intro onto what that case is. We're going to get into a paraduma. So basically, a paraduma, the way it was, they would take the ash, they would mix it with water, and they would sprinkle it. Now, how would they do? Who would sprinkle it? The kohen that would sprinkle it, we hold that he could go to the mikvah and sprinkle it. There were people called Tzedukim, and they learned only Teresh Biksav. And they said, no, it's called Tvul Yom. Basically, if let's say he traveled that day, right, and the sun didn't set, so they hold you have to wait one more day in order to be the kohen to do it. So us, we hold you could be the same day. You could go into the mikvah, come out and sprinkle it. So, you don't. We hold. So we hold. You don't. You could do it. They say it's a problem. Tvul Yom is a problem. We say it's not a problem. So what do we do in order to?
They don't wait till the next day. They wait till night, right?
No. So we hold not till the night, not till the night. We hold the same. You could go. Yeah. So what we do is, and in order to show that we don't hold like the tzdukim, they would actually, the Rabbanan would go, they would touch a dead mouse. The kohen would touch a dead mouse, go into the mikvah. They would have the whole mixture ready, and you would sprinkle it in your kodesh. So what happened? If you think about it, it looks like the Rambam is being mezalzel in it to prove a point. So in order to combat that, they did totally the opposite. And in order to show that paraduma is such a chamer good thing, and it's not just whatever, so what they did was this following case. They would have people live mamish on a rock. They would carve out holes beneath it so there's space so the tumah doesn't go through. They would do a bunch of things, and we're going to see that inside, what they did to show that no, we're super chamer, but here we have to show the tzdukim that we do against them.
And we eat cholent there too.
We eat cholent, yeah. We also eat cholent because that's tzdukim. Yes, shkoyach for the tzdukim. If not for that, man, we'd be messed up. Anyways, so he says like this: Urminu, chatzer sayibnu is b'Yerushalayim. So I'm sorry, I skipped a line. V'savar b'Yehuda, kol oil she'nasi b'dei adam eino oil. Is that truly the case? Does Yitaka hold that way? Urminu, I have a question. Chatzer sayibnu is b'Yerushalayim. They would have courtyards in Yerushalayim, al gabe hasela, on top of bedrock, like we said, it was on top of bedrock. V'tachteim cholol mepnei kevar tahim. Now another level, just in case someone somehow took a heavy-duty excavator, dug underneath bedrock, and put a body there. So what they would do is they would put like actually here's a picture. They would put, there we go. That's good. They put this. Skipped a whole bunch of good stuff. It would look like this. They'd be on top of a mountain, which was like bedrock. They would have these holes. Now this was double level, just in case someone put a body here, it would get stuck here, and that'll be enough. Over here, in each instance, there was gaps and holes, so that way the tumah got caught and stopped. And that's what they would do. So what would they do? They would have like this. So on top, they would have that hole. And they would bring pregnant women there. And they would give birth over there. And they would be megadol their children. They would raise their children over there, their sons. Lipara for the paraduma. And then they would bring oxen. And on top of that, they would put doors. Why? Because if you see sometimes when you sit, let's say on a horse, imagine, right? Your feet are hanging over. So we want to make sure there's no opportunity for you to walk over a caver that mamash, they even put a door. And these tinoikos will sit on top of them, on top of the doors. And they would have stone cups in their hands. When they would come to the spring, they'd go into the water, and they'd fill up those cups, and they would sit back on the doors. And now Rabbi Yossi added one more knech. She said, Rabbi Yossi from their place, they wouldn't even go down, just in case even by the water there was something, they would sort of like throw out the cup with like a string, and they'd pull it back up because of kevar tahim. They wanted to make sure that really were super stringent. Now, just to understand, they devoted so much time and energy just to prove the tzdukim. Number one, to prove these tzdukim, they would make this kohen tameh. Number two, now they would do the total reverse, super chumrah, invest pregnant people 7 years. This kid had to be there for 7 years. Specifically, why 7? Because anything older than that could be a balkari, and they wanted to make sure that there was no chances for any sort of tumah or anything like that, and it was clean. And this is what we're going to get to today. Let's do a quick chazar on this point. So, V'savar Rabbi Yehuda, we're going back to the fifth line, second word. V'savar Rabbi Yehuda. No, it's a question. V'savar Rabbi Yehuda, kol oil she'eina aseh b'dei adam eino oil. Does he really hold that every oil that was not man-made is not an oil? Urminu, I have a question on him. Chatzer sayibnu is b'Yerushalayim, al gabe haselav, tachten chol mepnei kevar tahim. Umevi nashnu baris, and they would bring women who were pregnant. V'yaldes sham, and they would give birth over there. Umegadles b'neim sham, and they would raise their children, their sons over there. Lapara for the paraduma. Umevi shvarim v'agabein delasis, they would bring oxen and put on top of it doors. V'tinoikes yoshvin al gabein, and they would have these boys sitting on top of them. V'kois shalevim biden, and stone cups in their hands. Higiu lishiluach yardu tachamayim. Umiluim, when they would get to the springs, they'd go into the water and fill up the cups. Va'alu v'yashvulahem, and they would go back onto the doors. Rabbi Yossi says, from their place, they would throw down a string with the cup, fill it up with water, and pull it back up. Now, I know we're stopping like in the middle of something. But the point of the question really is, what's the question? What's the stira? That we're going to find at the end, the next Amud, it's going to come and say that Rabbi Yehuda holds over there that sitting on the ox is okay, and an ox is an oil, and an ox is not man-made. So that's how we're going to get to Mitzvah in the next couple of days. Rabbi say, keep chazering, it's kedai, and it helps everybody else. Have a good night.